All right, thank you for joining. Media will just be GM and head coach Derek Fisher. Today, we'll get started with Doug Feinberg with the AP.
Hey, Coach, good to see you.
Thanks, Doug.
So obviously the Olympic news came out yesterday, and no one on this call knows Nneka better than you as far as what she's contributed on and off the court for you guys over the last couple of years. How do you feel seeing that she wasn't given a spot on that team for all she's done for USA Basketball and for the WNBA over the last couple of years?
Where do I start? Yeah, I mean, we're pissed, honestly. I think the thing about Nneka is that like nothing has to be given to her. It's like she earned it and she deserves it. And I think that's the most frustrating and disappointing part. Like that's the part that makes you angry the most, is that like she was asked to serve, as part of a group of 8 players that, went on a Team USA tour and represented USA and, were kind of pushed and promoted as like, this is our kind of this core group of players that Team USA is going to kind of build around, over the next few years. And for her to go and put that time in, show up to every Team USA mini camp, continue to train and prepare herself, staying ready, sacrificing financially, and could have gone overseas maybe to make more money than sacrificing for Team USA, sacrificing her body in terms of, performing well, leading the team in scoring during the tour, won an MVP award during their group on the tour. Like, I don't know what else a player is supposed to do. She's been an all-star 6 times in the last 10 years. She's been the MVP of the league in recent years, 2016, a champion in the league, one of the faces of the league. So I don't, and you can say that you can try to throw the injury out there if you want to. Like, I'm calling BS on that too. The timeline doesn't add up for her being unavailable to play in the Olympics. So I don't care what math you use, old math, new math, doesn't add up. We respect other players, happy for the ones that have made it, but there's no way you can tell me you can put a team together and leave Nneka off of it and try to say, that it makes sense and that it adds up, because it doesn't.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Doug. We'll go to Michelle Vopel with ESPN.
Yeah, Coach Fisher, I guess I had 2 things. To your knowledge, did anyone from USA Basketball reach out specifically to the Sparks or to Nneka to get any kind of updated timeline? And I ask that because obviously injuries there can be, a little bit different internal thoughts than externally. Do you know if they even checked to see when she'd be available? And then also, as hurt as I imagine she is on this, how do you think she will process it to try to, I guess, make something positive come out of it for herself and Sparks?
Yeah, I think to the first question, to my knowledge, I do think there was some level of communication. How often, how many times, the specifics of those, I'm not, 100% accurate because I wasn't on those calls or part of those conversations. But, I do know that there were times where even Nneka, spoke to Team USA representatives, and and we do know for sure that our athletic trainer, Dr. Courtney Watson, was spoken to at different points. But how often, when the last time it was, what was said, I know for sure what was said was that the timeline was okay. Like there was no reason to believe that Nneka would be unavailable as you got closer to the team, needing to report, for Tokyo. And so that timeline hasn't changed. We initially said 4 to 6 weeks. Nneka's progressing fine. She's getting better. And again, there's just no reason to believe at this point that in the next couple of weeks, she wouldn't be close enough to be able to get out on the court. So that's as much as I know in terms of those specifics, but I'm sure, you'll be able to ask, those representatives as far as what those conversations were like.
I
Michelle, did
just
you have a
wanted to
second
follow
part?
up. Coach was just, like I said, I know this has got to be very painful for her, but how do you think she'll sort of try to react to process this and in a positive way for herself and for the Sparks?
Yeah, it's tough, Michelle, because that's always I think in a lot of ways, that's why Nneka and I really connect on a strong level as coach and player because of some of the similar experiences. And I think it's going to be tough because she's always asked to be the one to take it on the chin, right? And to take the high road and, to be the one that leads by example and does everything right and everything that everybody asks her to do and sacrifices her mental and physical well-being for everybody else all the time. For then the reward to be getting looked over again by the same group of people for the most part. So I don't know how you keep taking that on the chin. I don't know how you keep taking the high road. That's what makes her unique and really special because she does have that inner strength and the fortitude and I think the balance as a person and as a woman to feel things internally and, not necessarily have to, shout it out to the world. I think she's going to continue to go about her business the way that she normally does. And continue to be a professional and an elite athlete and a champion and one of the most efficient basketball players to ever touch the court. And for anybody to think about what Nneka has meant to this league, means to the league now, has accomplished, will continue to accomplish. And to think that she might go through her career and never play for Team USA in the Olympics is a freaking travesty.
Thanks, Michelle. We'll go to Brady Klopfer with SB Nation.
Derek, on a different note, I was wondering if you have any update on Chiney's knee and if there's any chance we might be seeing her sometime in the next week or so.
Yeah, no, Chiney's improving. Whether it's in the next week or so, those are things that we have to continue to evaluate internally on what makes the most sense, whether it's her return and, even now with, in terms of Nneka's return, like what do we want to do? When's the right date, time in terms of the number of games we have remaining at that point going into the break? Does it make sense to, I think more for Chiney even than Nneka, does it make sense to, create inflammatory situations that then delay, her just really fully, getting to that point where coming out of the break, it's just all in to the wall, to make the push that we're probably gonna have to make coming out of the break. So, she won't play this week for sure. I think at the beginning of next week, we'll start to be able to I think give you more specific on possibly this day, this game, but definitely not this week. And hopefully we'll be able to, also get some practices in that would then allow us to really kind of be honest and accurate with you guys on, when we expect to have her back.
Sean Haylock, Spectrum Sportsnet.
Hey, Coach.
What's up, Sean?
Hey, going back to NECA, what's sort of been the reaction within the team? Like, have you all addressed this together? Obviously, I know there's just been outpouring support for her, but how has that been realized there in the building?
Yeah, no, I mean, we didn't, have a particular singular moment, as a team where this was the topic of discussion, but, I mean, the players have a group chat and group messages where they communicate things. We have a player and staff, group message where certain things are communicated that people, have said what they needed to say. And, we're here with each other. So we can have direct conversation, at different times. I just think the mood overall with the team, even today, like we got a lot of shots up and, and kind of more of a self-care type of day today. But you could feel the energy was low. I think for a combination of reasons, but, just one being fatigued and, just players still wiped out from the schedule that we've been on. But I think everybody feels for NECA. So, she's probably doing better than all of us, honestly, but again, that's not the way it's supposed to be. So we'll see, where the group is tomorrow, and if there's anything that we need to continue to do to make sure NECA knows how much we support her.
You talked about her being, just taking it on the chin repeatedly, throughout the years. What does that speak to just in terms of her resolve, but also just the, just doing everything right, but not getting the benefit of that?
Yeah, it's tough because that's what I was taught. That's what at some level I taught my kids when they were, younger and still growing. And that's what a lot of parents are, teaching and saying. So I think it's tough sometimes when, to go through certain experiences and feel like that's not working. Because then, you're a human being. So then you're going to at least think about, do I need to make an adjustment or change? But, I think, again, that's what makes NECA one of one, is that she really doesn't allow some of these, whatever the motivations are, the things that happen, to move her off of, her integrity, her character, like the way she carries herself, the way she treats people. Like those things won't change because she wasn't necessarily treated that way. She wasn't treated with the respect that she always gives others, right? She wasn't appreciated and valued the way she appreciates and values others. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's nothing new for her. But, again, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't. Like, I have to do my research some more to see, but you just can't tell me somebody with her resume that realistically could never get a chance to play and represent her country and is more deserving than anybody I could think of, honestly. So, yeah.
I'll take just a couple more here. Go to Chantel Jennings of The Athletic.
Hey, Derek. I'm not sure if you've even sort of gotten to this point in the thought process yet with the committee's decision. But I'm curious because there have been players left off Olympic rosters and Team USA rosters before who are really accomplished, high-profile players, and NECA is kind of the latest in this. Do you feel like there should be more transparency in the process? Should the committee be smaller? Is it an issue of too many cooks in the kitchen? Should the committee be larger? Is this like still too far ahead right now for you to process that though?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if I have a good answer, for that in terms of how the committee is, structured, the number of people, et cetera. I can only really speak to this situation at the moment. I wasn't part of this league in 2016 or in 2012. So, I wouldn't have a feel at that time for, the type of players that were operating at a certain level at that time, where they were in their careers, what they had accomplished, what they were slated to accomplish going forward. I just don't think, Neck is not like a really good player that's made a couple all-star teams that got left off, like it's not that simple. So yeah, maybe I can answer that better for you at another time, Chantel, like that, in terms of like how we or they, whoever like comes to these decisions on, which players make it and which don't. But, at this point, again, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to us. And, but it is what it is. And we're going to move forward. NEC is going to move forward. And, ultimately, everybody will be fine. Everybody will go back to writing about something else and talking about something else. And, that's just what happens. But at this moment, there's no way to just let this go by without speaking to it.
Chris Canello.
Hey, Coach, good morning. The one thing that got me about this wasn't just what Nneka has done on the court and all of her accomplishments. And obviously you talk about the leadership aspect. She's become one of the more recognizable players in the league. You talk about being in Space Jam. You talk about being, on the shop with LeBron James. And I remember you even saying like she belongs in that group that was on that episode of The Shop. So from that aspect, just from a recognizable aspect and a popularity aspect, do you feel slighted like, this isn't just a good basketball player. This is somebody who is recognizable and making herself more recognizable by the day. Like, what are your thoughts on that aspect from her being left off?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of like the question. I just think it's important sometimes with people that are like Nneka, that are as accomplished as she is off the court, et cetera, like people can try to twist that into like she should have been on the team because of those things and overlook, or that overshadows like the level of excellence that she puts out on the court. So then to the points that you just made, when you put both of those together, it damn sure doesn't make sense at that point, right? Like if you want to separate her and say, well, yeah, she's definitely one of the most recognizable players in the league for many reasons. And so therefore, Team USA, as a representative of women's basketball and young girls across America, and representing girls and women, and especially women of color all over the world. And that's what a lot of the Team USA feeling is about. It's about growing the sport, right? Growing that game. And so when you think about it from that aspect, if Nneka's not there, to me, that it's harder to pull off, right? Because she is who she is. And then again, when you combine, what she's done on the court, it just doesn't add up very much. So, yeah, I think your points are really valid, and also why we're upset and we're frustrated and we're angry, but we'll move forward.
All right, thank you so much, Derek. Thank you for joining everyone.